Oh, no!
Hey everybody, it's Andy Kushner, and today's episode is in lieu of my typical Wednesday release of The Next Level, because last Monday's episode really needs no follow-up. It was with filmmaker and keynote speaker Brett Culp. Some of you will remember his wonderful interview when he first appeared on the show January 14th of 2019. And Brett and I had a conversation Monday that I just released Monday, talking about dealing with the impact of today's huge crisis, the coronavirus, and it really can apply not just to coronavirus, but any major crisis that we run into in our lives and our business. And it was absolutely outstanding. I really recommend that if you haven't heard it yet, to check it out. So today's guest has been waiting patiently, and I'm so excited to say that it is a very popular event designer based in New York City, working worldwide. He first appeared on the show May 29th of 2017, which was a very popular episode, and that is David Beahm. Hey, David.
Good morning.
Oh,
good morning,
man.
friend.
Is it a good morning? You know what?
It's got to be a good morning. We can just wallow around, and we had all last week to freak out. Hopefully, in the history of man, we'll never have another week like that again.
Oh, my God. Well, it's been a century, basically, since there was a massive pandemic like this.
Yeah, but, I think economically, it wasn't as, the world shut down last week.
Yeah, just the shock of it.
With the Spanish influenza, I think they could see it coming and maybe prepare, but wow. It just tumbled. It was incredible.
Well, I think, I think it was the shock of the news and then learning about what the hell is this and what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
I think it was really initially that hit us. So, David, I noticed that on Instagram for several mornings in a row, late last week, you were talking, you were walking in your yard of Thistledew Farm, and you were talking about your feelings and giving suggestions for people. And I remember the first one that you did, really, I happened to need it in the moment. Like I've been relatively calm, we'll get into all of this in a second, but that particular moment when I was looking at Instagram, I was having my moment of anxiety. And I'm trying to remember when you came on, you basically, you were right in the camera, like your face was real big in the screen. And you basically said, stop what you're doing, take a deep breath. And you did a little exercise right for us. And then you said, we're going to get through this. Like I'm getting a little welled up right now hearing that. It was what I needed. I think what a lot of people needed in that moment while we were first dealing with the shock of this, like just chill out for a second, breathe.
Yeah. Well, and that's suddenly just all this information was coming from everywhere of people freaking out and no one was breathing. And I grabbed my camera and I handed it to Katie in my office and just said, let's record this. She's a TM practitioner.
Oh.
And we were actually going to start last week doing TM with the office. We didn't have time for that. But
yeah, I do TM, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah. But, I grabbed the camera. I said, let's just record this. And we did it. And that was just one take and I send it out. And I'm glad I did. There was just not a barrage, but so many people said, wow, I needed that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so that's why I've continued to keep talking, because I think people just need a distraction.
How about if right now, before we go further, how about let's do one breathing exercise together right now? I mean, just to, like, I woke up, again, I've been doing really well. I woke up pretty uptight. I'm maybe a lot of people listening. You got one for us just right now, just to do briefly?
I think my best one I talked about the other day is 4-7-8 breathing because when you go to bed, because we're creatives, we're always thinking, and it's really hard to go to sleep and get the brain to calm down.
Yeah.
Or if you wake up like I do, I can go to sleep quickly, but I wake up at like 4.
Right. Me too.
And it's just rocking.
Yeah.
So if you make the conscious effort of saying, value sleep. I need to sleep. And I'm going to ask you to stop for a moment. And 4-7-8 breathing is simply breathing in just very big diaphragmatic breath in for 4 counts. You hold it for 7, just gently hold it, not, just breathe it in and hold it, and then blow out with the tongue touching the roof of your mouth and making the noise. Yoga people believe that is that kind of connects all of the circuits. But I can do that 3 times and be asleep by the end of the third one.
Wow.
It's been almost like a little miracle find. Someone told me about it, and you can Google it.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
The 4-7. Yeah. And it's recommended to do it in the morning and at night. And that after a period of time, I don't know if it's a neurological kind of thing, but something starts to change if you do it on a regular basis.
Yeah. And that's what happened. At first I was like, well, this isn't working, but I kept on. And then one night I woke up asleep. I said, okay, there you go. But even in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, and then
yeah, even that.
And the act of not the tss, but the blowing out physically makes your shoulders drop, and that sort of relaxes your neck where we all hold the tension.
And to do it maybe 3 times in a row, something like that, 2-3 times.
Yeah. Or when something happens, just to make it a habit of going, okay, stop, take a breath, and now go. It really, I the other day I was talking about, I used to work for a conductor who, that's all I will say. And I would ride with her in her car. And if she got to a stop sign or a stoplight, she would absolutely lose her mind, like screaming at the stoplight. And finally, one day I was like, do you understand how much energy you are exerting over something you have absolutely no control of? Why don't you just take it as a signal that the universe said stop, and take a breath, smile, and then the light will turn green and you'll go on. And you will have not wasted all that energy. So there's a lot of opportunity to breathe and hopefully get through it. Not hopefully, get through it.
Well, yeah. And I think that the only way I can look at it, I mean, I think some people could think that we're being punished for something. There are there's a lot of stuff going on out there on the internet about, that this is the punishment and the apocalypse is coming. I don't believe that for a second. I do believe, though, that there is some kind of opportunity for us in all of this. Very hard to see. And I want to say, and I said this Monday, I know there's a lot of us going through very hard times, like living paycheck to paycheck, or already battling cancer, or something rough is already going on. And
right.
And look, I try to not get too political. I try never to get political on the show, except for the moment when I was talking to Marcy.
Could.
Well, listen, imagine when I was talking to Marcy.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to say this for the first time. The campaign in 2016 was traumatic. The night of the election was hugely traumatic for me. Every day has been traumatic. So I feel that already we are not all of us in the United States, but a certain amount of us are already raw and vulnerable. And then this comes along.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Well, but I think what got us to 2016 is there's a whole group of people out there who were already raw and battered. And that's why we got to where we are to 2016. And now the rest of us have become raw and battered.
Yeah. No matter what your affiliation.
Yeah. So I think we have mistreated ourselves and mistreated the earth. I don't know that this is a punishment, but I do believe this is the universe going, I've been trying to tell you, and you've been abusing us or abusing me. And now I'm just going to fling this little thing out, and there's going to be a correction. And I think it's going to be a very hurtful correction, but so many people are going to learn so many lessons from this.
Oh my God, yeah.
I truly believe this virus is our ally. to just make us stop and listen and reboot. What happens when your computer isn't working? You reboot it.
Right.
And the earth was just like, oh, okay, pulling the plug.
Well, what about what's happening in China? You talk about Mother Earth, the planet. In China, they can see the sky.
They can see the sky.
They can see the blue sky. Is that incredible?
I understand that the canals in Venice are clear.
Whoa. Oh my God. I didn't hear that one yet, but it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, they're little, you can look into the canals and see little fish.
Wow.
Yeah. So, no, it is not going to be easy. And no, I don't know how some people are going to get through it. Like this week, my biggest, I know at David Beahm, we're going to be fine. I have a wonderful financial person who is very conservative, and we are going to have to make corrections that I don't want to have to make. But damn it, guess what?
Can you share what those are?
No, because I'm going to.
Okay,
we have a conference this afternoon.
Yeah, but there has to be some tightening up.
There has to be. All over the United States, I've talked to people, and everybody has made a correction. We already had this payroll in the chute, so we just let it go.
Great.
But my biggest thing is I found out that freelancers can't collect unemployment.
What? Oh, no.
If you're 1099, yeah.
Oh, that's true, right? Because they're not employees. And most of us in this business are not employees, most of us.
Right. Most creatives are 1099.
Yeah.
So I'm really concerned. One, for them.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I really do think the end of Q3 and Q4 are going to be busier times than we can even comprehend.
You mean bouncing back you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're going to be very busy. And one of the things that's going to keep us busy is finding the supplies.
Interesting.
Something I think a lot of people haven't thought about. Last week, Holland basically plowed under all the gardens, all the flowers.
Yeah.
You can't let them sit there and rot because then you'll just have a mess. So you cut your losses and cut your labor force and then plow everything under until you're ready to plant again.
Wow, interesting.
So when we come back, it's going to be dependent on the airlines. Well, first, the growers having the money and the wherewithal to plant the flowers and pick them and box them. And then how do you get them here?
Yeah, right.
And are the clients going to have the deposits? There's so many. We don't know. Cindy Novotny said this the other day, and I love that. We don't know what we don't know.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah. And that's the most stressful thing.
That's what causes fear.
Yeah.
And, I do feel that while there's very legitimate reason to feel fear, and like we're talking about freelancers who are, about to run out of money or don't see their way past the next couple of months, to me, the first step, in a sense, is connected to the breathe exercise, is we've got to work to stay calm in order to come up with creative ideas on how to deal with this.
Yes.
I think that's the first, like already, David, I had already been thinking of some ideas on how to earn more. I'm fortunate. I got a business partnership in my music business for Cushion Entertainment starting last September, and we were just absolutely killing it. Of course, everything now is frozen, but I had been on a really good road, but still I need to do more. I want to do more. And I had some possible ideas. I'm now, again, staying calm, and I'm going to implement. Like, for example, for me, I've got a couple books in me just from what I've learned through this podcast. Now, I don't know that that's going to bring me a lot of money, especially right now, but it's going to position me better for when we recover. Because I've already been getting paid speaking engagements. Well, this will position me to do even better. I'm also thinking with the music business, they may not be able to spend as much money on the top bands for a period of time, possibly. I'm already working on starting a brand new one that's much less expensive, that's real good. I mean, in other words, I'm staying calm. I'm coming up with ideas instead of just getting in a fetal position and just crying myself to sleep every day.
Yeah, yeah. Years ago, I actually did this at Engage one time. My godfather played, I guess it was his niece. We were having a party and she was like, we're going to play a game. And so she put all of these, a couple toys and gadgets and stuff on the floor and had him sit on the floor and then took a big blanket and put it over his head. and there he was sitting in the middle of the room. And she was like, okay, hand me what you don't need on a desert island. And so he kept handing out things and kept handing out things. And finally he said, I tell you what I don't need is this damn blanket. And she said, exactly.
That's great.
You know, and you do crawl under the blanket and you can't get anything accomplished under there. Yeah. And it's smothering.
Yes.
You know, it's hot. So I think that accepting anxiety is fine and realizing that anxiety has value. It teaches you where your weak places are and then acknowledge them. And I know this isn't as simple as it sounds, but then move on. Find a distraction to pull you away from the anxiety instead of wallowing in it or swimming around in it or putting that anxiety blanket over your head. You can't get anything done.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to keep looking forward.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and look, again, I have such compassion for people, especially who the financially, where they just don't see the way out to pay rent, whatever. So I don't know how to address that.
Well, and I've been saying there's business, there's contracts, and then there are ethics. And people are going to have to step up with their ethics.
And what do you mean by that?
You're going to have to give, and you're going to have to eat some financial responsibilities. Landlords are just going to have to get over themselves.
Yeah.
You know, you can't kick out a whole building full of people. You can try. You're not going to be successful and you're going to spend more money, or you can give a couple months free rent, pick up and move on.
Well, also, I want to say for people listening, and I just discovered this in the past few days, there are programs, I'm not real clear how much is federal versus state, but I urge everyone, before you pay rent, call and check it out and see if they've got some program going on. Every day, things are changing. More and more programs are coming along. I am going to call my auto loan company and see what they've got. I've heard rumor that don't have to pay for 3 months and they just attach it at the end. So I would urge people on a practical matter to just at least call your biggest bills and just see, because there is some help out there.
And I think Congress actually is voting on something this morning.
Yeah.
But, and federal, I think, is going to come down. But, you know, I learned that in 2008, one of my flower vendors, we had a big party like right before that all came down. And I owed them a lot of money. And I went in and I just said, Johnny, I know I owe you money and I don't have it right now.
Yeah.
And he said, I know where you live. Not
right. I know.
He said, I know you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I know I have to support you right now. Know that you can have all the flowers you need because I know you're going to get through this.
Yeah. You know, you're also making me think it was my part 2 with Preston. And by the way, you and I have to have an official part 2, you know, where it's not in the middle of a crisis. Yeah. We're going to definitely do that. Because when I interviewed back in 2017, it was astounding, David, that your backstory, it was so fascinating. But anyway, I'm thinking about, I had a part 2 with Preston Bailey, and he was saying that something like 4.5, 5 years ago, not when there was a recession, nothing was going on. He was having a very rough time. And yes, the Preston Bailey, and everyone has these assumptions about us at these levels. And he said that what he did was he reached out in the industry and told people, said, I need your help. And that's a huge way that he was able to get through it, is to reach out and say it and ask for help.
Yeah, that's because if you just shut down and don't answer your phone to your creditors, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah, and right now, of all times, this is when they're willing to negotiate.
Right. And I hate to say it, but, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I said to my staff, when this started to trickle down and my CFO called and We're shutting down all the credit cards because something bad is coming. We're shutting it down. No spending. And we always say, use the phrase, can you do something more? Is there anything else you can do?
Sure.
For us? It doesn't hurt to ask. Some people can't, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But in these times, we're all going to have to, it's going to hurt.
Well, also speaking of us all, it was I think your third morning of doing these posts, you said, I believe you talked about subscribe to the philosophy that life works out for us and we are interconnected. And what if, as you said earlier, what if this virus is here to help us and is an ally in our revolution to help us understand what is important, family, community, and the environment? And, one thing I'm finding, David, is that, I have a girlfriend right now. We think she has it. She is doing better. So going to be okay. But I'm like in a self quarantine right now. And many of us live alone. I live alone, and I have been FaceTiming way more than usual. And I don't usually FaceTime. I just pick up the call or Zoom or whatever you want to do, WhatsApp video. And it is really helping me to feel connected to people. It's not the same as being in person, but like you and I right now, we're looking at each other, able to see each other as we talk.
And I felt it was really important that you be able to see. Yeah. I was able to see your face. Last night, it was kind of hilarious. I got all my besties down in Luray, Virginia are probably 10 years older and not terribly tech savvy. One is and the rest aren't.
Yeah.
And, normally we would have all been in one room or they would have been in one room and Kathy could have gone over and fixed the computer and everything was fine. But we had Jim and Diane over here and Linda and Bill over here. And it was hilarious trying to get everybody's face seen. But no, we would not stop until we saw everyone's face.
Yeah.
And that was so important. And then again, all of my neighbors here in Pennsylvania, there were 2 cocktail parties last night, one with Luray and one with our neighbors here.
You're talking about
just
digitally,
across the street.
Digitally, like on the computer?
Yeah. All these, I think virtual parties are going to be the virtual meetings and virtual parties.
Do you know what? We did this, myself and like 4 different sets of families.
Yeah.
And extended families. We got on Zoom for the first time and you can click gallery and you see everyone's pictures equally. It was wonderful. I'm feeling right now this wave of wonderful feeling. I mean, it was fun. I felt I was not alone, here alone in my place. And we're going to do it again. We're Jewish, so we can't have a Passover Seder, and so whether you're religious or not, to get together for Passover, it's a wonderful sense of community, and it's very important to do that. And so my brother was just telling me we're gonna set up another Zoom call and have a Seder on like a dinner, or at least talk, get together again on Passover and even tell the story and all of that. And I am doing this with my bands. We've got one tonight.
Yeah, I've got one at noon with my staff.
Yeah, to stay connected with people, to have that connection and not let anyone go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. I just, at the risk of being, like I call wheatsy-oatsy, you were just talking about Passover and that Seder. Imagine the energy, the vibration that's going to create in the world when all of these people all over the world are going to be linking each other with the story of the Seder.
You're right.
That's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
That for the first time, instead of 10 people sitting down at a table, the entire world will somehow be linking to one another over the internet to tell the story of the Seder.
We can do that. And I do feel that, I don't know that all of us collectively are here, but we're starting to come out of the shock of this. This has been a good week or more of the shock. And now I believe, talking to friends and family, we are starting to accept it in the sense that, it's like going through a mourning process. Brett and I on Monday talked about this, mourning, that at first there's anger, there's sadness, there's all of that. It's hard to believe. Then there's acceptance. And again, that doesn't mean that I'm embracing it, although I am, in a sense, embracing it. There's this book by Ryan Holiday called The Obstacle is the Way. How about that? The obstacle is the way.
Yep.
I talked about this for the past year, even before this virus hit. I would encourage people to get it right now and read it again. And the point is how we started, that we could look at this in a few different ways. And one of them, or part of it, I think we look at it in many ways at the same time, but part of it is what is the opportunity for me now with this slowdown? You know, if I could just, again, stay calm, set aside the fears and anxieties, even if it's just a few minutes a day, and look at a chance, as you were saying too, it's a chance to retool. And you said in your third day also of posting, you said the energy we give to it is our choice. And even if we can't stay consistent throughout the day and night with it, a period of time where we give it that energy where, okay, this is what it is. We've got to deal with it. This is the situation. What can I do with this? How can I, again, look, my personal life, my business life, what else can I do? What are the dreams? Brett was talking Monday about going back to when we were little kids, and what were those dreams that sparked the passion for us?
Yeah. Well, you know, when I had my dreams here at Thistledew of having big gardens. Well, guess what?
Working on it now?
I'm working. Yeah, this weekend a neighbor came over and we cleaned out. I had a greenhouse, and there was a greenhouse on the property when I bought it. And I tried to use it the first year, but if you miss one watering, plants just go, because they're sitting on heated pads.
Yeah.
But now I'm here 24 hours a day. I have no excuse. Yeah. So we started all these seedlings, and I am bound and determined to have a victory garden and give vegetables to everybody I know this summer.
Oh, man. If I lived close, I'd stop by. I'm sure they're delicious. Well, you know, I also feel that, you know, in addition, we were talking about staying connected with people and using the slowdown also as a way to get in touch with a lot of people. Like I'm planning some time this week to get back in touch with people I haven't spoken to in a long time. And I'm very excited to touch. I just want to say, how are you doing? I'm here. I'm thinking about you. We are all in this together.
Yeah.
You know, so the communication. Another thing, David, is it's not that I'm overly self-centered necessarily, but I am feeling more compassion than I've ever felt in my life for anyone and everyone else.
Yeah.
You know, compassion. And I'm feeling so much gratitude. You know, we've all heard and talked about these exercises where you wake up in the morning, you write down 5 things, 10 things, whatever that you feel grateful for. I say also at the end of the day to help us go to sleep, no matter how bad it is for us financially, whatever the situation is we're in, there are things to feel grateful for. You know, and so I've been thinking about that a lot. It's helping me tremendously.
That was the first exercise. I had a life coach for 15 years, and she's passed, which is a little devastating. But it was interesting. Last year, I lost my mom and my life coach within a month of each other.
Oh, geez, Dave, I'm sorry. Wow.
So it's like, okay, I'm just out here in the sea. Yeah. So this is kind of,
you're an adult
like,
now.
Okay. Just tooling along. But you know, the first exercise Sarah ever gave me was every night write down 10 things that you're grateful for. And it really absolutely changed when you realize just how much you have to be grateful for. Wow. It is almost overwhelming.
I love that.
Yeah. And again, it reboots your thinking because it is so easy to feel sorry for yourself. It's so much easier. The first motivational speaker, wow, where did this come from? The first motivational speaker I ever heard was Dr. Tim Lautzenheiser. And he would go, you know, I was a band director, and he'd go around and do motivational speaking for band directors and for bands. And I can see where I was. I was in a room at James Madison University, and he was talking, and he said, you know, it takes twice as many muscles to frown as it does to smile.
Oh, geez. That's a great one.
And that was probably 30 years ago, and that still echoes in my head.
Well, you know, as we get ready to maybe wrap up for today's call, because I could see us coming back and checking in along the way.
We do chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dave, I love checking in with you and seeing how you're doing and us talking about how we can reframe this in our minds. I think it's really important. I think we need that. You know, this is one time where all of us are going through the same thing at one time. It's not just our own individual business or life.
It's not all of us. It is
everyone on the planet. I mean,
on the planet. Every person on the planet's life has changed.
Yeah. And not to forget that we are not alone in the struggle right now. And you had mentioned earlier, you have something that you wanted to read out loud before we close.
Yeah. Someone sent me this and I just thought it was so beautiful and so telling. And I don't know who wrote it, so I'm a little embarrassed. I'm going to put it out.
Okay.
And maybe by the time you broadcast this, we'll figure it out and be able to attribute it.
Put it in the show notes.
Here we go. And the people stayed home and read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and grew gardens full of fresh food and learned new ways of being and were still and listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced, some met their shadows, and the people began to think differently. And the people healed, and in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses and made new choices and dreamed new images and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully as they had been healed.
Wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, it's stunning. And how apropos is that now?
Yeah. I saw it and was like, okay, there's my Monday right there.
That's it. Well, Dave, thank you. Thank you for being on again to share, your thoughts and feelings about this.
It's always my pleasure.
Yeah. And I want to urge everyone to follow you, on social media at David Beahm.
Yeah. I'm posting at David Beahm. Yeah.
Okay. So, and it's BEAHM. I'll put this in the show notes too. And I want to also urge everyone, with some of the extra time we have, I mean, seriously, go back and listen to the first interview I did with David on May 29th of 2017. It's highly entertaining, David. I want to say, too, it was so much fun, too. It was great. Your story, I had no idea. It's a wonderful story.
You never know what someone's story is, and that's what's so amazing about this life.
That's true. So, and follow us at The Wedding Biz, and we'll catch you all next week on The Wedding Biz.
Onward and upward.